Hello everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the best Reddit answers being read to you. Enjoy! Atheists of Reddit, what religion makes the most sense? Among the ones that believe in some kind of supernatural power, I'd say deism, if that's the one that says something created all of this, but has since kind of fricked off and doesn't meddle in it. I like your way of explaining that. I call it the Chuck Shirley approach. God was never on your side. Buddhism. Emo Buddhism is more of just a philosophy than a religion. I sure as hell don't consider myself an expert in all the branches of it, but isn't it all pretty much Siddhartha was a trust fund baby who eventually ventured out into the world and realized we just need to stop being poopty to each other? There's no godly aspect to it. It's just, try to reduce the suffering in the world. Deism. Essentially think of a single god as the ultimate watchmaker. They made a perfect machine, the universe, and just let it run. No intervention necessary. Deism is basically atheism for when atheism would get you burned at the stake. Gateway atheism. This is accurate. I was brought up in what I later learned was deism. I transitioned to atheism in my early 20s. Being atheist in the Bible Belt is socially burning at the stake, so I thank my parents for almost entirely rejecting our surroundings and encouraging deism until I was out of high school. Any of the old pagan stuff with a-hole gods. It's definitely the funnest one day to day. Just imagine nature, seasons and emotions as their own characters. You don't have to worship them, just appreciate or fear them as needed. Harmless and fun. Harmless and fun until somebody sacrifices a virgin to appease one of them. Everybody confusing chants for some malicious entity is not where we want to be. Kinda feels like the people saying Buddhism are atheists from Christian-dominated countries who are interpreting Buddhism in abstract terms of what it theoretically could be, or choosing to divorce the mythological aspects from the general underlying philosophical concepts without considering the possibility of doing the same with one of the religions they are more familiar with. I don't mean this as a kind of slam against anyone who is doing this, by the way. I empathize with that kind of thinking. I'm Hindu, but was raised in America and mostly knew my religion strictly based on the teachings and mythology, not from talking with other Hindus. And when I was younger I thought Hinduism was so much better than Christianity because Christians were so flawed in their practice of their morals. But then I actually started to meet other Hindus and suddenly I thought, oh, these guys can be just as big of stupid and noose and just as hypocritical as those Christian douchebags. I guess it's not a flaw with the religion itself, people are just dicks sometimes. It's just that I only had the chance to see the terrible Christians and not the terrible Hindus for a long time. Buddhism in its base form is just self-therapy. Learn to be okay with yourself, be kind to others. You can detach it from mythology and live it as a general life philosophy. All that said, Sikh people are the nicest religious people I've ever met. I've never met a bad Sikh, so maybe they've got some secret sauce we're all missing out on. I'm not inclined to start giving religions passes as the good ones, but I do admire the Sikh commitment to feeding anyone who shows up hungry. Organizing and distributing charity is basically religion's sole utilitarian good, and in my experience the Sikhs do it with the fewest strings attached. The various forms of sun worship. The sun directly impacts all forms of life on Earth, at least all the ones relatable to humans. If you're gonna pray to something, at least it's demonstrably real and active. Have you tried praying to Joe Pesci? Overnight I became a sun worshipper. Well, not overnight, you can't see the sun at night. But first thing the next morning. I think Shinto is a cool religion. Not organized, lots to do with respecting nature and the spirits of particular places. What do you mean not organized? They have temples and priests, specific matsuris etc. Do you mean not centralized? Yes, that's what I meant to say, thank you. I think there is something remarkable about any kind of sun worship. Not that I personally would want to start saying prayers to it. But it fascinates me, because there's almost a logic to it. It was here long before us. Its creation resulted in the creation of all the planets, which allowed us to exist. We are all stardust, and thus a part of it. It gives us warmth, light, day and night cycles, seasons, a means to track long periods of time by a number of times we've gone around it. And it'll be here when we're all gone. Mind you, there is also a kind of eldritch horror vibe to it. As its expansion will kill our world in fiery apocalypse. Also if you look at it too long, you could go blind, and it can give you cancer. I'm fascinated by sun worship, too. If you are a primitive human and got a point at something that seems to be running the show, that just might be it. First Nations shamanism. The earth is a goddess and must be treated and revered as such. The sun is a life-giving god/an source. Be good to the earth and all life. Period. I don't suppose you have any links? I'd love to read up on it more. Pastafarianism. Hail the flying spaghetti monster. May you be blessed by his noodly appendage. Satanism, even though it's technically an offshoot of atheism and is really just a philosophy. All that was needed to convince me is to do a bit of digging around the Church of Satan website. Pastafarianism is another good choice in a similar vein. Ramen? Buddhism, I'll tell you why. You know the term karma and reincarnation? Well, your perception of them is likely incorrect. You see, Western religions automatically assume immortality. It's at the baseline of the thought. If you die, you live forever in and go to either good place or bad place. For Buddhism, they don't want this. Why? The basic tenet of Buddhism is that all life is suffering, life and existence is poop. No matter who you are, what you are, if you are alive, you will get sick, you will get old, maybe, you will die. These are inevitable and every living thing will suffer this. Life is suffering. So Buddhists want to escape, they don't want to be reincarnated, they don't want immortality like Western religions. They want out. So Buddhism is a faith/religion that life is crap and miserable for everyone and everything. Seems like the most sensible one to me. I'm what you describe as extremely biased but Reform Judaism. Hear me out. Part of my family is Jewish and I am an atheist. However, I still identify as Jewish in a cultural sense. There are many Jewish people that simply do not believe in God like myself. I've never felt that out of place in Jewish spaces, even though I'm a biracial atheist raised in a multi-religious household. Reform Judaism, in my experience, is not focused on the religious aspect but more of the cultural one. And frankly, I like to be a part of a super accepting culture that welcomes and helps anyone, regardless of prior religious affiliation/race. While there are some religious Reform Jewish people, they don't try to force their beliefs on you and accept the possibility of there not being a God. So, I guess, the culture of Reform Judaism makes the most sense to me. I have studied other religions, not super in depth, but this is what works for me. I love the community and don't feel pressured to relinquish my atheism. What would have been your answer or question? Leave it in the comments below. Slap that like and subscribe button for more, and check out the link in the video description for even more answers. Peace out, and catch you in the next video.